When I took a closer look at everything, at the words, at the sentences, at the 6 parts of speech, it shocked me how little I knew about my own language. In the previous videos, we talked about nouns and verbs. With nouns, this whole time, I didn't know that there are 3 types of objects. I thought there were only 2 types of objects. And with verbs, I thought words like eating and eaten were verbs. No, they're not. And it turns out there are lots of words out there we think are verbs that aren't really verbs. With adjectives, though, it's the opposite. There are tons of common everyday words we don't think are adjectives that are actually adjectives. Like numbers. Did you know that numbers are adjectives? Numbers are adjectives. And that's just the beginning. And what we're going to talk about in this video, we're going to talk about adjectives. Hola, soy Jordan, and this is a Spanish Quickie. Fast, easy Spanish lessons and English lessons from somebody who speaks your language. Before we jump in, as I alluded to a minute ago, this is the 4th video in an 8-part series of videos about the 6 parts of speech. If you haven't seen the previous videos, go back and watch those. You'll get way more out of this series if you watch all the videos and if you watch them in order. Links to the previous videos and everything else I mentioned in this video are below this video or in the first comment. Okay, adjectives. I define an adjective as a word or phrase that tells us more about a noun. You might hear people say that adjectives modify nouns, and that's fine, but I find the more general definition of an adjective, a word or phrase that tells us more about a noun, to be more accurate across a wide range of examples. Adjectives tell us more about nouns. We all know words like good and bad or cheap and expensive are adjectives. More specifically though, adjectives like good, bad, cheap, and expensive are called descriptive adjectives because they tell us more about nouns by describing the nouns. Jimmy bought tickets. Good for Jimmy, but we know nothing about the tickets that Jimmy bought. Jimmy bought good tickets. Now we do. The descriptive adjective good describes the tickets as good tickets, so we know Jimmy bought good tickets, in the speaker's opinion. If the speaker had said Jimmy bought expensive tickets, now the descriptive adjective expensive describes the tickets as expensive tickets, so we know Jimmy bought expensive tickets. Simple enough, right? And for the longest time, I thought it ended there, but no, it doesn't. Descriptive adjectives are just one of the many different types of adjectives. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, numbers are adjectives. Numbers are numbers, of course. Numbers are always numbers, but numbers are also adjectives. Jimmy bought tickets. We know nothing about the tickets that Jimmy bought. Jimmy bought 5 tickets. Now we do. The number 5 tells us more about the tickets that Jimmy bought. It tells us how many tickets Jimmy bought. So the word 5 tells us more about the noun tickets, and adjectives are words or phrases that tell us more about nouns. So numbers are adjectives. Descriptive adjectives tell us more about nouns by describing them. Numbers tell us more about nouns by quantifying them. Numbers are adjectives. Pretty cool, right? You know what else are adjectives? Articles are adjectives, like indefinite articles and definite articles. In English, the words a and an are called indefinite articles, and the word the is called a definite article. Interestingly, the indefinite articles a and an are adjectives for the same reason numbers are adjectives. In reality, a and an both mean one. All 3 words represent the same idea. Jimmy bought a ticket means Jimmy bought 1 ticket. We wouldn't say Jimmy bought a ticket when Jimmy bought 0 tickets or more than 1 ticket. We'd only say Jimmy bought a ticket when Jimmy bought 1 ticket. Then Jimmy bought an apple means Jimmy bought 1 apple. We wouldn't say Jimmy bought an apple when Jimmy bought 0 apples or more than 1 apple. We'd only say Jimmy bought an apple when Jimmy bought 1 apple. The indefinite articles a and an both mean 1, and 1 is a number, and numbers are adjectives. So indefinite articles are adjectives, not just because they mean 1 though. It's because indefinite articles tell us more about nouns, just like numbers do. It's the same with the definite article the. Jimmy bought a ticket. Jimmy bought the ticket. Both these sentences mean Jimmy bought 1 ticket. The difference is the first example refers to any 1 ticket, while the second example refers to 1 specific ticket, whichever ticket the speaker and the other person previously discussed. In real life, we'd only say something like Jimmy bought the ticket when the other person knows which ticket the ticket refers to, like when it had already been discussed previously. A and an both mean 1, but anyone. That's why a and an are called indefinite articles, as in not definite. Then the means 1, but a specific one. That's why the is called a definite article. And as weird as this might sound at first, even when it's followed by a plural noun, the definite article the still refers to a specific one. Jimmy bought tickets. Jimmy bought the tickets. The presence of the in the second example tells us more about the noun tickets. Jimmy didn't just buy any tickets. Jimmy Jimmy bought the tickets. The tickets we obviously discussed on a previous occasion. That's how we know the is an adjective. It tells us more about the tickets. It tells us more about a noun. In this case though, the tickets refers to one specific unit of tickets, like one specific group of tickets, one specific collection of tickets, or one specific quantity of tickets. That unit of tickets is comprised of however many tickets were previously discussed or alluded to. It could be a precise number of tickets, like 6 tickets, but it could also be a vague number of tickets, like the number of tickets needed for our group. Actually, Jimmy bought the chicken is a great example to show you what I mean. Jimmy bought the chicken. That can mean a lot of things. It can mean that Jimmy bought one whole chicken at the market, alive or dead. It could mean Jimmy bought one package of boneless, skinless chicken breasts at the supermarket, one package of chicken breasts, one unit of chicken breasts. Or it could mean Jimmy bought the 435 already cooked rotisserie chickens needed for tonight's banquet. No matter what though, the refers to the one specific unit or quantity or whatever of chicken that was discussed previously. This idea that a, an, and the all really mean one is a little off subject, but I wanted to stick with it for a minute because it's actually an important idea to understand when we're learning Spanish. First, because in Spanish, they translate a, and one the same way, with the same word, because a, and one all mean the same thing. Then second, they often say the in Spanish when we don't say the in English. And to truly understand how and why they use the in Spanish, we first have to understand how and why we use the in English. But the main point now is articles are adjectives. Descriptive adjectives are one type of adjective, numbers are another type of adjective, and articles are yet another type of adjective. Though there is some major overlap between numbers and articles, because a, and the all mean one. Is this making sense? Ordinal numbers are adjectives too. Words like first, second, third, those are ordinal numbers, because we use them to express the order of things. Order, ordinal, that's good nomenclature. Jimmy bought the chicken. We know Jimmy bought one specific unit of chicken, but that's all we know. Jimmy bought the first chicken. Now we know Jimmy bought the first unit of chicken, and that strongly implies a whole chicken of some kind, like rotisserie chicken. I love rotisserie chicken. Pollo a la leña, chicken on firewood basically, is one of the best parts about traveling in Latin America. If you see it, stop. If there's a line, even better, wait. When we're zoomed in, the article the and the ordinal number first, two different kinds of adjectives, both tell us more about the noun chicken. When we're zoomed in, this is 3 individual words. But when we're zoomed out, the first chicken is one phrase serving as a noun. It's 3 words working together as a phrase serving as a noun. In reality, the first chicken still represents one thing. We just know more about that one thing. It's not just chicken, it's the first chicken. If we made a simple silent movie for all 3 of these sentences, Jimmy bought chicken, Jimmy bought the chicken, Jimmy bought the first chicken, they could all be the same movie. They'd all show us Jimmy buying chicken, a noun doing a verb to a noun. The first chicken might be 3 words in the sentence, but in reality, it represents one noun. Bottom line, ordinal numbers are adjectives. They tell us more about nouns by telling us the order of the nouns, even when there's only one noun. We're not going to go over every single type of adjective in this video, but I do want to tell you about 2 more. First, possessive adjectives. Words like my, your, his, her, its, our, your plural, and their, those are possessive adjectives. Until I made a video about possessive adjectives back when I first started making Spanish videos, I thought these words were pronouns. But no, when you look closer at what role they actually serve in our sentences, it's quite clear words like my, your, and our are adjectives, because they tell us more about nouns. They tell us who or what possesses a noun. Jimmy bought chicken. Okay, but whose chicken did Jimmy buy? Jimmy bought her chicken. Great, thanks. Do you feel how the word her tells us more about the noun chicken? That's how we know that her is an adjective. It tells us who possessed the chicken when Jimmy bought it. Now I gotta say, in my defense, possessive adjectives are clearly adjectives, but they do have that whole pronoun vibe going on, and not just because they look like pronouns. We only say his, her, its, or their when the person we're talking to already knows who or what his, her, its, or their refers to. Just like pronouns, and just like the word the. You can't just walk up to random people and say Jimmy bought their chicken. They'd have no clue who or what their refers to. Their could refer to a single person, multiple people, a restaurant, anything. Of course, you shouldn't be walking up to random people saying Jimmy buys their chicken anyway, but you know what I mean. Possessive adjectives are adjectives, they're just very pronoun-y adjectives. And the last type of adjective for today is demonstrative adjectives. The words this, that, these, and those are demonstrative adjectives, though they're probably called demonstrative adjectives. I don't like to say it that way though. It sounds super snobby, and saying it that way doesn't communicate as well what demonstrative adjectives really are or what they really do. Most of the time, when we say something like this book or that book, we either point to a book, hold a book up in the air, or demonstrate in some other way which book we're talking about. Again, again, we couldn't just walk up to somebody, stare them in the eyes, and say, this book is incredible. They think we're crazy. We'd have to demonstrate to them which book is incredible, and maybe not do that anyway. I guess there are contexts where that's not necessarily the case. If we're talking about a specific book, even when the physical book is nowhere near us, we can still say that book is incredible. In this context, that refers to whatever book we were already talking about. Do you feel how this, that, these, and those are words that tell us more about which noun the speaker is talking about? That noun, this noun, these nouns, or those nouns? That's why this, that, these, and those are considered adjectives. They're demonstrative adjectives. But this, that, these, and those can also be pronouns, and when they are, they're called demonstrative pronouns. The only difference between demonstrative adjectives and demonstrative pronouns is demonstrative adjectives have a noun after them, demonstrative pronouns don't have a noun after them. The difference is a strictly mechanical, sentence-specific difference. In the same situation, we could say, this book is incredible, or we could omit the noun book and just say, this is incredible. In the first example, this is a demonstrative adjective because it has a noun after it. In the second example, this is a demonstrative pronoun because it doesn't have a noun after it. Again, both these sentences could be said in exactly the same situation. Remember in the first video in this series, I said words are just words? Words aren't nouns, verbs, or adjectives, they're just words. Then they serve as nouns, verbs, or adjectives depending on their role in a particular sentence. Well, this situation is a great example of that. The words this, that, these, and those can be adjectives, they can be pronouns, which are nouns, and probably other stuff too. Yeah, in fact, the word that can also serve as something called a relative pronoun or as a conjunction, two topics we'll discuss in future videos. Okay, we're making some real progress here. We've got the big picture down, zoom out, zoom in. We know that nouns can be subjects or they can be objects, and there are three types of objects. We know what the infinitive is and what conjugation is and what the 5 forms of a verb look like in English. We also know that 4 of those 5 forms don't actually count as verbs, only conjugated verbs count as verbs. And now we know any word that tells us more about a noun is an adjective, and tons of words that we don't think are adjectives are adjectives. If any of that is news to you, you need to go back and watch the 3 previous videos and or this one again. In the next video, we're continuing with the 6 parts of speech. We're talking about adverbs. Adverbs are to verbs what adjectives are to nouns. Adverbs tell us more about verbs and other stuff. So there are nouns and verbs, then to tell us more about those nouns and verbs, there are adjectives and adverbs. Nice and simple. In the next series, Working Together, I'm going to show you how we combine all the individual parts of speech to create phrases, clauses, and sentences, even those long, complicated sentences. Then my premium course, Logical Spanish, picks up where these free videos leave off. We do the same thing in Logical Spanish that we're doing in these videos, but in Spanish. We start from the very beginning, then we go over everything step by step, slowly and methodically. In Logical Spanish, there's not just one video about adjectives, there's 2 entire modules about adjectives. We go over the numbers from 1 to 1 million, ordinal numbers, possessive adjectives, the demonstratives, este, esta, esto. We talk about when to put an adjective before the noun or after the noun in Spanish, and so much more than that. There are over 15 videos about adjectives alone. And as more and more people go through the course, my confidence in it keeps going up because the number of messages I receive keeps going up. Logical Spanish is the best thing that happened to my Spanish. And that's just the most recent one. If you look under my videos, you'll see tons of other comments just like that. Logical Spanish is the real deal. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you're not on YouTube, you can find my channel by going to SpanishDude.com/YouTube, and you can find me on Facebook at SpanishDude.com/Facebook. But the only way to make sure you don't miss future videos is to sign up for the Spanish Dude newsletter. You can't count on YouTube or Facebook to notify you every time I post something. Plus, when you're subscribed to the Spanish Dude newsletter, not only will I email you when I post a new video, you'll get special videos and private deals that non-subscribers just don't get. Sign up at SpanishDude.com/newsletter. Don't forget, there are many types of adjectives. Descriptive adjectives are just one of them. Numbers, articles, ordinal numbers, possessive adjectives, and demonstrative adjectives are other types of adjectives, and there are others. When a word tells us more about a noun, that word is an adjective. Now get your little tushy out of here, then I'll see you next time. Hasta luego. Adios, amigo.